We take a look at some of the big legal cases we are following in this week's Burden of Proof. A$AP Rocky is due to face a jury over charges he opened fire on a former friend, A$AP Relly, on a Los Angeles street corner more than 2 years ago. Sean Diddy Combs is hit with new civil lawsuit alleging sexual assault, and the Menendez brothers could potentially walk free after serving more than 30 years in prison, with their case being reviewed for possible resentencing by the Los Angeles County District Attorney following evidence that is now coming to light. So let's bring in Lisa Bonner, entertainment attorney, to talk more about all these cases. Lisa, let's start with rapper A$AP Rocky, due in an L.A. court for a trial regarding this alleged involvement in a shooting against another rapper, A$AP Relly. They used to be friends. It happened more than 2 years ago. Rocky's pleaded not guilty. No weapons were found. A detective in the case acknowledges that there might be some issues with the video. How strong is this case?
Well, it's important to remember that when you have an indictment and when he first came with the pretrial hearings, that is a much lower burden of proof, a much lower standard than would have to be proven in the court. So you are looking at a higher burden of proof with a very sketchy and iffy case already. It's more or less he said, she said. There's no really corroborating evidence that really links everything together. You have, just as much as they have one witness testifying this, they are missing some evidence in the other cases. So it really is not looking like they have a very strong case to find A$AP Rocky guilty. You never know what can happen, but that is the way it's looking at the moment with what we know about this trial at this particular time.
Let's move on to Diddy then. More people are coming forward in the ongoing Sean Diddy Combs case, and this past week he was hit with several new civil lawsuits alleging sexual assault. His federal criminal trial is slated for May. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all criminal charges in the case. It's important to point out, and his legal team says of these civil cases, we're quoted for you, Mr. Combs has never sexually assaulted anyone, adult or minor, man or woman. How could these new civil cases, if at all, impact the federal case and ongoing investigation?
Well, the civil cases are brought by the state, so there is actually no direct correlation. However, when you are looking at the allegations that were alleged in these civil lawsuits, this can serve as a roadmap of sorts for the federal investigators in terms of looking for evidence, in terms of really seeing if all of the alleged allegations and statements from these particular victims line up with what has been alleged and offered in the federal case. And if you remember, Damian Williams, when he first read the indictment and he first came onto the scene, he asked that people come forward. If you have any evidence, if you have any knowledge, if you were affected, if you were a participant, anything that can help us, let us know. And so these civil suits are possibly serving as a roadmap. And you have the instance where it's a lot going on that could really affect it from that point of view.
Lisa, before you go, I got to ask you about the Menendez brothers case. It has recaptured the public's attention recently, with many of their family members this week calling for their resentencing as some potential evidence is now coming to light. How will the decision on whether they get resentenced ultimately be made, do you think?
Well, the district attorney has offered to hear this new evidence has come to case and to recommend whether or not that he should be resentenced, whether or not the Menendez brothers should be resentenced. But it's important to remember in this instance, this is not overturning the conviction per se. There are three possible outcomes. One, the conviction could stand and they could remain in jail in prison without the possibility of parole. They could get a reduced sentence, or they could get time served. So we will see, but it's going to be up to the judge to make the decision based on the recommendation from the district attorney.
All right, Lisa Bonner, thanks so much for breaking all of those cases down for us. Do appreciate it. And we want to let you know that a new episode of 2020, The Menendez Brothers' Reversal of Fortune, is now streaming on Hulu, including never-before-aired clips of Barbara Walters' iconic jailhouse interview with the brothers.